I reviewed the movie, now it is time to review the toy game. I played all 4 versions of this game for this video. Sega Genesis, SNES, Game Boy and Windows 95. All of them are emulated because I don't think they have been re-released on modern hardware. So yeah, let's start. The first level is the moment the soldier should spy on the birthday. But here they can't open the lid, so first Woody has to set them free before they can do anything. So the mission objective is to open the lid and then send a radio down for the soldiers and then reach the other radio to communicate. Here we can get used to the controls. You move with the left and right buttons and duck with the down button. You have a jump button and an attack button. Woody uses his pull string as a whip to attack, which can be done in the air as well. If you hold up and then attack, it will be done diagonally. That's the entire gameplay and there is nothing wrong with that. The game will create challenges based on a very simple and accessible gameplay mechanism. The game looks beautiful. If the time game to the first 3D animation in history didn't have any 3D elements, it would be disappointing. But the amount of 3D stuff in the game is amazing. Really impressive for a Sega Genesis video game. And the graphics hold up good enough. It does not have the uncanniness of early 3D games, if you ask me at least. The enemies of the game are also simple, most of them acting like Goombas or Koopas. Some can be deactivated for a very short time and some become harmless for a very short time. If you don't do that to them, then you will be damaged by contact. Not considering health pickups, by taking 5 hits you will lose a life and you can never make it more than 5. If you lose a life, you will restart from checkpoint, and if you lose all your lives, then if you have continues you will start from the beginning of the level, and if not, starting from level 1 it is. Each level has 50 stars and collecting all of them in each level will give you extra life, which can be found in some levels as well. There are some balls that work as a spring and some balloons that sometimes give health, but they mostly have flies or small balls that are traps. Your friends are hanging around throughout the level. There are some helicopters that you should hit with the whip to move them a little bit if you want to collect some stars, but still be careful because they return fast. They also try to always stay above you. If you just want to finish the level, then you can simply go from point A to point B, but if you want extra challenge, then you can explore and collect everything. There are some hooks that can be grabbed with the whip attack and they make you feel like Spider-Man. You can use this lid as a spring, but it doesn't always work, so don't waste your time on it. Use the hook on the other side instead. Also, don't move too fast in this game. The camera is a little bit too much zoomed in, so you can't see the enemies in front of you if you run. And considering the fact that the game doesn't refill your health after each level, trying not to get hit is necessary. The SNES version doesn't let you skip the cutscenes as fast as the Genesis one, which is annoying. The camera is even more zoomed in here, so be extra careful. But the sounds can be heard more clearly. The balloons are blue in the Genesis version, but in the SNES version they are pink, and their traps are always balls and they take a long while to despawn, which is also annoying. The helicopters are much faster, which is unfair. It also has less one-ups and health pickups, which is unfair as well. But doing the hook shot thing is easier. Some of your friends are in different places here. The Windows version can fade into black in the cutscenes. Its graphics are similar to the Genesis version, but it moves faster, so again be extra careful. The balloons are more generous and have more chance of giving health pickups. Attacking the helicopters is easier. The resolution is weird. You can easily see the enemies above you in the console versions, but in the Windows version you cannot. Movement is like the Genesis version, but slightly less polished. In the Windows version, you can choose to have from 1 to 5 lives, and it also saves the game. In the Game Boy version, you can have from 1 to 9 lives, which is the only good thing about this version. 90s gamers, God bless you. Living in a time that a handheld game that looks like this was normal must have been at least a little bit of a challenge. I don't have much to say other than how unpolished and boring it is. It is so slow and unresponsive. In level 2, the kids are going to enter the room, so you should help Woody help the other toys to get back to where they were. Woody sends Mr. Potato Head to the chest himself. We should do the same thing to Ham, Rex, and Robot. When a toy is on an empty balloon, you should jump on an air pump to fill the balloon for a brief second, which will work as a spring and send the toy into the chest. Ham is the first to find, and he will sit on the balloon waiting for you to do the job. But Rex and Robot will continue moving, and you should time it to do the same to them. You should free them by hitting some blocks, but before you do, jump on the blocks to collect stars. The RC car should go under the bed, but the path is blocked. So first you should free this guy who would open the path for the car. After doing all of these, you should jump on the bed. The level is on a timer. Don't panic, but don't take too much time either. There are these stars that need you to stay on this bucket until it goes high enough so that you could jump to get them in the Genesis version. But in the SNES version, you only need to jump on this ball. You should deal with it the Genesis way in the Windows version, but because of the weird resolution, you cannot be sure if you have collected them or not. In the Game Boy version, you can use the air pump as a spring to reach a star. Freeing the toys should be in order in the Game Boy version. In the other versions, the toys should be moving toward the chest to be sent in there, but there is no need for that in the Game Boy version. Here also Rex stands in place for you. It is impossible to take damage in this level. Level 3 happens when Buzz flies in front of the other toys. But here before it happens, you as Woody will race Buzz, but it is just a regular level. There is no race or time limit or anything. This level is full of pits and enemies that come out of them, so be careful all the time. But falling in the pit only damage you once and are not instant kill. But I should admit the iframes of this game is pathetic. This level has ropes that you can grab and move slowly while hanging from it. You can hold down the attack button so that you could use one hook after another instantly. At first when I wasn't used to the controls, I would die a lot, but I discovered that the 1-ups respawn, and considering that your health won't refill after each level, it means in situations like this, if your health isn't full after getting the 1-up, you'd better lose on purpose so that you would have a full health and then recollect the 1-up. But don't worry, you don't have to recollect the stars. All versions keep track of those, except for the Windows version, which only keeps track of every star you collected before reaching a checkpoint. Here I also realized that in the Genesis version, you activate the checkpoints by contact, whether you are walking through it or flying through it. But in the SNES version, you should only walk through it. Also, when you reach the end of a rope, in the Genesis version you should jump off, but it will happen automatically in the SNES and Game Boy version, so be careful there. There are stars that are slightly lower on SNES, so it is easier to grab them. Also in both versions, there are 2 stars in the end that with a small mistake you can reach the end of the level without collecting them, which is annoying. Like 48 wasn't enough, should it really be 50 to give me an extra life? The game is harder than it needs to be, I need the extra lives. The Windows version of the level is almost 1-to-1 with the Genesis version. You can't hold the whip button on Game Boy, you should press it in time. The 1-ups don't respawn on Game Boy, but it will give you 1-ups when the total stars reach the number 50, so it is easier to get 1-ups through that way. Just like any toy game, we have some extra moments in the game that never happened in the movie in order to have more action. So here Woody will have a nightmare of Buzz attacking him. So boss fight time. There are many orbs rotating around Buzz and you should get rid of them with the whip. Then Buzz would slowly get near you and you should prevent it with the whip. Then he will shoot you with a laser that you should evade. When Buzz stops glowing and starts pushing buttons on his wrist, it is time to attack him. Do it 4 times to win. It is the first level in which I cannot collect 50 stars because all of them immediately come out of Nightmare Buzz when he dies and there is not enough time to get them all. The SNES version of the boss fight is significantly easier and the Windows version is slightly easier. Game Boy doesn't have this level. This level is when Woody uses RC car to hit Buzz, which takes much longer than the movie version. And here you will realize that it is not a regular platformer, it is a variety platformer, the type of platformers that have many minigames and gameplay changes in them. For example, this level is not a platforming level. Here you control the RC car. You should hit boss a few times and you can collect stars on the way. Each time you hit boss, he will drop a battery that you should collect as soon as possible, because the RC car runs out of battery faster than a Game Gear. And when it happens, you should start from the beginning of the level, because this one doesn't have checkpoints. You should hurry, but you should also be careful, because when you hit a wall, you will move uncontrollably for a few seconds, losing precious time. The SNES version is unfair because when you hit boss for the last time, the battery won't stop lowering level. So sometimes you do hit boss for the last time, and yet you lose before the game registers your win. And also some stars are harder to collect. In the Windows version, you won't move violently when you hit a wall, which means on paper it is the best version of the level. But in execution, because of the less polished controls, it is still inferior to the Sega Genesis version. Again, Game Boy doesn't include this level. Only in the Genesis version, when your total stars reach the count of 200, you can play a shooting minigame, and by getting enough points, you can get up to 3 health pickups. Now it gets weird. The toys want to avenge boss, so everyone wants to attack Woody except for Rex, who hates confrontations. So he asks Woody to help him leave the room and he will help him in return. This level is similar to level 1, except you should break a few blocks for Rex, and touching any toy that isn't Rex will damage you. Also on the Genesis version, it is at night time. Now it is time for Rex to repay us. So Woody hops on Rex's back and Rex is running as fast as he can so that we could escape the room. So it is like a 2D version of Crash's animal riding levels. Here I realized that collecting 300 stars gives the player a continue. Now this is where Buzz attacks Woody. Here we should throw a tire at Buzz to trap him 4 times until he tire himself out. Man, I love the pun. In the second boss fight against Buzz, he has 2 ways of attacking you. One is to charge at you, the other is to use his wings to jump like a pogo, and you should avoid him at all time. In the Genesis version, you cannot attack him when he is attacking you, but in the SNES version you can. And yet again, the Windows version is similar to the Genesis version, and the Game Boy version lacks this level. Only in the SNES version I can get 50 stars here. Now Woody and Buzz are at Pizza Planet, and it is kinda a stealth mission. We are in a paper cup and Buzz is in a plastic food container. You should move so that Buzz won't collide with you, but you should also stop sometimes so that food won't fall on you. Sometimes some kids would walk by and you should hold down to avoid being damaged. While doing so, Buzz will stop moving, so when you are not moving, hold down. You will know kids will be coming when a paper rocket flies. The Genesis version has momentum, which means when you try to stop, it feels like skiing on ice, so you should be extra careful. Which means this is the only non-boss fight level that its SNES version is better, because there you can instantly stop, so it feels more fair. But the best version is actually the Windows version, because it is fast like the Genesis version, but just like the SNES version you can instantly stop. And the Game Boy version is like the SNES version, but much slower. It feels so long and tedious. In the game, inside the claw machine feels like a pocket dimension. It wasn't this big in the movie. It is a machine level full of gears and stuff like that. It is full of moving platforms. There are some tubes that coins go through them, and you should break them and then go through them when coins are not falling. There are also rotating fans that you should go under them without colliding. There are also some batteries that explode a few seconds after getting near them. There is this hidden place that in the Genesis version it is impossible to reach without taking damage, but in the Windows version it can be done without taking damage, and in the SNES version there is no coin tube. In the Windows version the rotation speed of the fans is pathetically slow. The batteries will shake violently before they explode, so you know exactly when to evade. Now this level is in 3D, and speaking of 3D, isn't it weird that the 3D stuff of the Genesis version looks better? I can clearly see that the Genesis version was the main focus, and that is the reason it looks better on the Genesis despite it being weaker than the SNES. Or maybe it is my Genesis bias. Windows and Game Boy versions exclude this level. In both Genesis and SNES versions you should find aliens and put them back in the vault. You can only move in this level and there is no jumping or attacking because there is no need for it. It is a maze and there is a time limit. The Genesis version seems impossible until you realize there are actually 2 doors to the vault and not just one. Moving in this level is fast and it is so satisfying that I think it is my favorite level, something that I cannot say for the SNES version, because despite being easier, moving in it is slow and nowhere near satisfying. This block is moving, remember that. Now the worst level in the game that can ruin your entire run. We are at the top of the claw machine and Sid wants to get us. Each time the claw gets Buzz, you should use the whip to make an alien go up and then hit it diagonally to throw it at the claw and save Buzz. Saying it seems simple, but in execution you should be very precise with the timing, so much that it becomes unfairly hard. The claw is also too fast. Now we are at Sid's house and the game gets pretty difficult. There are some small spiders and you should duck in order to be able to hit them with the whip. There are darts falling from sky and it is even worse on Windows because you can't see them. And also there's explosives and bottomless pits everywhere. Sometimes you are hanging from a chain and you should be wary of the spiked yo-yos. At the end of it, Sid will set Woody's head on fire, so he will run fast and you can only make him change direction to left or right. We are still at Sid's house and the level is basically more of the previous level. Just in the end of it, you are holding Buzz and you are slowly moving forward while the mutant toys approach you, and you should push the attack button just before they reach you, which is much easier said than done, but it is slightly easier on the Genesis. Another riding level. This time it is horrifyingly hard. As you can guess from the name, this level is inspired by You are again using the RC car, but this one is different from the last one. You gotta go fast and you should also get batteries on the way. It is in 3D and you should only be wary of the turns. It doesn't have obstacles like the last time. It's relatively easier than the last RC car level. SNES and Game Boy don't have this level. Another RC car level, and this one is like the first time. It is pathetically easy, which makes it unnecessary. They could have easily removed this level and nothing would change. At least the level I dislike brings something new to the table. And now the final level. Here Buzz is literally flying. We should only move with the D-pad in order to avoid hazards and reach Andy. Some of them can be instant kill, which is unfair, especially on the SNES version. So it is time to rank all 4 versions of this game, and I believe you already know how my ranking will be. The Game Boy version is by far the worst version because it is garbage. It is not the fault of the developers, it is the fault of the platform it is on. At number 3 I have the SNES version because it lacks one level, and also because of all the minor inconveniences I mentioned during the video. On their own they are not a big deal, but all of these little problems combined make this version inferior to the Genesis version, at least in my opinion. At number 2 I have the Windows 95 version because it is similar to the Sega Genesis version, but it lacks one level and it is less polished and its graphics are slightly worse, but it still stays at number 2 because it saves your progress. And at number 1 I have the Genesis version because it has all the levels, it has the best graphics, and it is the most polished version. So yeah, if you want to play this game, play the Genesis version and don't be ashamed of using save states if you're playing it on an emulator. I didn't use save states, but I know not everyone has the patience to beat this game the legit way. This one, unlike the Lion King game, is not released on modern hardware. It might be remastered for the Nintendo 3DS, but I am not sure about it. So yeah, it was a good enough game, and I believe we need a Toy Story video game collection for modern platforms that at least includes the tying games to Toy Story 1, 2 and 3. Best case scenario is to have all the 20 or something Toy Story games, but I know it won't happen, so only the platformers it is. And also sorry that the video about the tying game is longer than the video about the movie itself. I guess I am just more passionate for video games. Of course, I don't mean the game is better than the movie, because obviously the movie is one of the most important movies in history. Meanwhile, this one is just yet another 16-bit movie tying game. It is a fun game and one of the best Genesis games, but not one of my all-time favorites like how the Genesis version of the Lion King is.